Well, hello, everyone. Hello, this is Alexandra Levine. I am your host tonight on The Pulse. Breaking news tonight, breaking news. President Trump said we are restoring the Kennedy Center, AKA make the Kennedy Center great again. I can tell you as a professional opera singer, I used to sing at the Kennedy Center all the time, but because of wokeness, because of COVID, because they wanted me to vaccinate the crap out of myself, I wasn't able to perform at the Kennedy Center. But now under the Trump administration, I will be back in the Kennedy Center. I will be singing again. And the Kennedy Center is going to look beautiful. It's going to be renovated. They've even talked about maybe naming the Kennedy Center the First Lady Melania Trump Center, which is something that I actually would love. But thank you to President Trump for honoring people today, honoring people that have performed for many years at the Kennedy Center and beyond. And what did he do today? He announced that in 2025, in this year, that the honorees are going to have a huge party, and he's going to have a huge gala later this year in DC for the honorees. And the honorees is George Strait was one of them today, Michael Crawford, Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, and Kiss. And that was just some. And I will be there. The America's Pulse Network will be covering that event when it happens. And I'm so excited that President Trump announced the 2025 honorees. And these are great men. These are great men. These are great women that have done fabulous in their careers. And they should be honored. They should be honored for the wonderful work that they have done. So thank you, President Trump, for this. And President Trump took a lot of questions today, outside of the Kennedy Center, questions about Israel, of course, questions about Iran, questions about Ukraine, questions about his upcoming appointment with Putin on Friday the 15th. So we'll see what happens and progresses there. But it's really important, guys. It's really important to note that the president is keeping his word as the chairman of the Kennedy Center, restoring it and making it great again. And I just want to say to our audience, we are not fake news. We are not the mainstream media. We combat the CNNs of the world, and we are always at the head of the table. For trusted news, guys, listen to us. Like and subscribe us. Follow us. Because we are raw, we are real, and we are never afraid. We have a jam-packed show for you guys tonight, so let's introduce you to my other hosts and my guests. Our first host, he will be on later in the show. It's our Popeye the Sailor Man, conservative corner, Seth Eisenberg. He'll be on later, and we'll bring him on when he comes on later. The guy who taught us all what hallway sex is, the Hammer from New Jersey, Damon Galdo of the Jersey Shore, unfortunately cannot be here with us tonight because he is at a New Jersey Assembly event fundraiser with our friend Pete Sykes and my good friend Constance Dietzel. But tonight, this woman decided to celebrate Cinco de Mayo early. Our very own food liaison, Elena Barbara from the Based Mother.
Glad to be here.
And a very special guest, the first time that he is put into the lion's den of the Pulse, my very good friend, the only Republican for the Hagerstown City Council, Sean Flaherty.
Thanks for having me, Alexandra.
Thanks for being here. Let's bring everybody in. So we have a lot of interesting news, a lot of interesting topics. Our first segment, we'll put up the first image, Liberation Day in DC. There you go. Liberation Day in DC. We are taking our capital back. President Trump said we are making DC safe again. So my first question goes to you, Sean Flaherty. Why is the mayor of DC saying that the crime in DC has gone lower? Why is the mainstream media saying that the crime in DC has lowered in the last few years when we obviously see year after year, and I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, the crime in DC has not lowered? And what the hell are they talking about?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just, liberal talking points, if anything. Living in the District of Columbia, they have, usually one of the highest homicide rates in the nation. So, if you've heard lately, they've had the juveniles get out of control in the Navy Yard area. They're attacking tourists and things like that. There's been a lot of shootings, especially with COVID, with the, pandemic. A lot of the office workers have not, returned, and it's gotten really worse with that. But it's a lot of these policies that San Francisco, New York, DC have, where they just, anything goes. And they don't really seem to make public safety the cornerstone of what the residents want there. So in Hagerstown, we are seeing the opposite effect. We passed an anti-camping ordinance, and I campaign heavily strong on public safety last year. And I think that's what everybody wants is common sense, really.
And my question to you, Elena, why do people say that the crime is down in DC when every day crimes are being committed?
Why? Well, we know why. Commander Michael Pulliam was relieved of duty earlier this year. He's put on administrative leave because he was investigated and it found out that they are fudging the numbers. So the DC Metro Police Union was monitoring the situation, looking at the crime stats that were being published, and then talking to their officers themselves and adding up, realizing that the things didn't add up. Learning from the officers that somebody, if they got stabbed, they would just put in the report that maybe it was a theft or, an assault of some sort, and downgrading crimes so that the city appeared to be safer than it actually was. And this is an ongoing investigation. Ironically, the department is investigating itself. So who knows if we'll ever get to the truth. But that is why they're saying that there isn't as much crime or crime is down, because they're flat out lying about it. And this is probably happening in cities all across the country, in blue cities, because they have no regard for public safety. They downgrade all the crimes. Everything is a revolving door for these criminals. And I am so happy, that we're finally going to have a capital that we can be proud of. During the president's press conference the other day, he was saying how he's going to meet with Vladimir Putin and he's embarrassed about our capital city. And I'm so glad he said those words, because that is exactly what I was feeling. I want a capital city that we can be proud of, and we're going to get it.
I agree with you. I mean, as a single woman, I am in fear of going to DC. I'm in fear of walking there late at night by myself. Even with a group of people around me, I'm still afraid. And that's really bad. As a White House reporter, I need to be down there covering, but I feel more comfortable being there during the day and in the afternoon than hanging out there late at night because of the crime that's going on. And of course, they have the pro-Hamas protesters all the time. They're causing havoc. It's not peaceful protesting. We all have seen that. And it's not just 100 people that show up. It's hundreds of thousands of people. And they also do prayer circles like right in front of President Trump. They just have like a whole prayer thing and they never leave. And it's insane. And I applaud Judge Jeanine Pirro, who's now the new U.S. attorney in D.C., for cracking down on crime. And she actually called these people out and said, how can you say that the crime is low when this person died recently, this person got beat up, this person almost died? I mean, it's insane. It's just, there's no rationale behind it. My question to you, Sean, because you have a horrible governor, Governor Westmore, and we talk about Maryland on this show a lot, not in a good light. There's nothing good in the news about Maryland. But you have a stupid governor that goes on, two networks. He goes on Fox News and MSDNC. And they're asking him, they're like, President Trump, he brought up Baltimore, how it's one of the most dangerous cities. And he also named it a sanctuary county recently, which it is. And what did Governor Westmore do? He said, I don't believe the president. The crime is down. I don't need to bring in the Maryland National Guard. I don't need to call him up. I don't need to work with him. What say you about that, Sean?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of us Marylanders are mad because we do border the District of Columbia, and what happens there could spill over to Maryland as well. And I think, the governor, if anything, seems more interested to pick a fight with the new administration in Washington than cooperating and working with them. Because at the end of the day, this shouldn't even be a Republican or Democratic issue. Everybody's to say, hey, we should be glad there's more law enforcement, there's more police. And I served in the National Guard for 7 years as well. So I've had experience doing all that stuff. So if anything, I think our current governor is more worried about 2028 and not about, the reality on the ground. And, Mayor Brandon Scott doesn't have the best track record. I know he proposed having open drug injection sites in Baltimore and things like that. And, if you've heard, Federal Hill has been hit a lot in Baltimore lately with a lot of crime. A lot of residents are very upset there, and I don't see that, if anything, his administration or the council is really tackling that. They just kind of want to have the mentality of there's nothing to see here. Everything's wonderful. Just walk on. And, and I could tell, I went to go look at a home in Baltimore in 2018 and, there was a car on fire in front of it. And, I did not decide to buy there. But if anything, people are fleeing a lot of these cities, and they're fleeing blue states like Maryland too, where we'll probably lose a census seat down the road. So, anyway, people are going to flee with their pocketbooks and, sanity. So, but it's really sad what they're doing.
Well, I want to follow up with you on that, Sean, because do you feel that this affects Governor Westmore's poll numbers or any liberal governor that continues to combat President Trump and doesn't want to keep their city or their state safe?
Oh yeah, definitely. Right now, his poll numbers are already dropping. They're not even as high as, Governor Larry Hogan's was. So, I mean, a lot of folks that live in Baltimore and Prince George's County and other areas of the state, they want to feel safe. And that should, like I said before, shouldn't be a Republican or Democratic issue. But if anything, they don't really want to tackle the issue. They just want more lawlessness that you've seen in a lot of these big blue cities. They want to do drugs in the open. They don't really care if people get shot and things like that. So, and there's a reason why Republicans generally don't live in a heavily concentrated blue cities, because we rather have our taxes and things where our values are at as well. So
now, Elena, you're in Florida with a wonderful governor who's the complete opposite of Governor Westmore. He actually follows the rule of law. He actually works with ICE. He was one of the first governors to open up an alligator Alcatraz.
Yes.
I want your perspective, to the viewers. How can we get more governors to be like Governor Ron DeSantis?
Well, gee, I really don't know how we're going to ever turn blue states red at this rate, because they're continually lying to the people, and they've convinced the people that the government's job is to just give out handouts. I talked to a lot of people. I lived in Massachusetts for 23 years before I moved down here to Florida, as in my adult life, 23 years of my adult life. And so a lot of the people I know there are absolutely convinced that all of their troubles are because of, Republicans in Washington, and not because of their local government, their local city council and their state. And, their costs of living keep going up and they can't afford it. But most of them are just convinced that it is outside forces, and it is not the very politicians that continue to punch them in the face, over and over again. I don't know how to fix that mentality. I don't know how bad it has to get. In New York, you have people, we saw that woman get set on fire on the subway. If that wasn't enough to make you go, maybe we should rethink this, I don't know what's going to ever change it.
But Elena, follow up to you. New York City could possibly get this Democrat socialist as the mayor of New York City. With President Trump cracking down, and like you said, politics is local, why would anybody vote for this Democratic socialist when they see that the liberal local government is not doing the job, and they're not doing the job to the point that federal has to step in and clean up their mess?
Because they don't see it. That's what I'm saying. They don't see it. All the liberals talk about, every time something goes wrong, it is Donald Trump's fault. Your local taxes are too high. That's because Donald Trump is taking away federal funding, and so we have to make up the money. Like, they're just making things up. Even taxes that were in place before Donald Trump came back onto the scene. They just have TDS so badly, and it's just fight the man and fight capitalism, and they are all in on it. What's happening, as we know, is that Wall Street firms, one by one, are moving down here to Florida. We've got Wall Street South growing in Palm Beach, and that's just going to keep happening. So no one is going to be able to fund all of this free housing and free everything in places like New York soon. Boston is losing businesses. Commercial properties are empty more as every month that goes by, more and more empty. They're not going to learn until they're literally on a breadline in those places.
Now, Sean, you're the only Republican on the Hagerstown City Council. Now, Hagerstown is Washington County. It is a heavily Republican county, but still, before you got in, you had Democrat leadership. You had a Democrat mayor, which is insane. Thank God you have Bill McIntyre as your mayor. Thank God. But how are you going to expand your council to get more Republicans? And I know that you won based on local issues. You didn't rely on the party. You didn't rely on Larry Hogan. You did it on your own. You talked to everybody. You talked to Democrats. You talked to independents. So how can you expand that council so we can get more Republicans in the local level in liberal states and liberal districts?
Well, like you said, it's all about the local issues. And I think we have to have more of a bigger voice, which I've been very vocal since I've been elected. And really, people want lower taxes. They want to feel safe. And I think, if we can use that again as the blueprint for, nationwide, along with the rest of Hagerstown, we'll do great. So, and we had a Republican, he almost won. It's funny, I actually beat him by about 19, 20 votes. So I mean, it's possible to have two of us on there, but if anything, all politics are local. We didn't make it about Donald Trump. Like you said, I didn't make it about Harris. I mean, this is a very blue state, although this is a very red county. And, I knocked on over 10,000 houses last year. And that was people are sick of seeing the drugs. They're sick of seeing needles. They're sick of people doing dope in front of their house, and we've had this issue here with the previous mayor and the previous administration that didn't really take any action on that. They just kind of didn't think it was a big issue. So, if anything, I think the folks, they should be voting based on their pocketbook. Like I was the only one that did not support the property tax increase this year, which is very sad. But I also know that, if anything, they're going to flee. So we have to make it, attract businesses here. We have to make it tax friendly, and we have to keep everything safe for the businesses and the residents, really.
Now, in your opinion, Sean, do you feel that President Trump should come into Maryland, again, federal always overseas over state, federal always wins over state? Do you think that President Trump and his team should come into Maryland and take it over and do what they're doing in DC and do what they're going to probably do in Chicago and New York if the crime in Maryland doesn't go down?
Oh, I would welcome that with open arms. And I think a lot of Marylanders would too. I think it's our liberal leadership that have been elected here that are also hostile against Trump. They don't want to work with him. They've posted one bad thing after another. My congresswoman has, along with, both our senators. So, they don't really speak for the average Marylander, because I don't think folks want to be holed up in their home at nighttime because they're afraid to go out because people are doing drug deals and, doing drugs in the open. And then who knows is getting shot. So I think the average Marylander, there was the Baltimore Sun article that just came out where one of the homeowners said they're trapped. They can't sell their home because there's drug deals across the street, and the realtor told her that. And that's a shame, because nobody that pays taxes and lives here should have to experience that. And our leaders, if anything, they want to say, you don't need to have compassion. Well, I'm only compassionate to a certain extent until you are on the taxpayer's dime. And folks don't want to see their money used for, needles, Narcan. We have drug paraphernalia, vending machines within my town. And Democrats want to have that throughout the state. And if anything, they talked about legalizing magic mushrooms and, so I just, you've opened it, you took the genie out of the bottle. It's going to be very hard to go back in.
If I can just add to that you said earlier, they just have to stick to the script, and that's what they're doing. And it's hard for us to understand why. But Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, she started out yesterday morning saying, we're going to work together with the president and do what we can to get crime down. And by the evening, she had a different tune, and she said, we're going to fight against this authoritarian push. So somewhere in there, somebody made a phone call and said, get with the script, lady. And that's really troubling. I know I can be very negative, but Sean, I hope that you're right, that people are going to wake up and they are going to start seeing things differently. But there's a Instagram account called South End SOS that I've been following, and it is about the South End of Boston. And you can buy a multi-million-dollar brownstone, and you will have somebody passed out on heroin or fentanyl on your front steps. And this person is posting all this stuff all day long. And every post says, Mayor Wu, when are you going to help us? And that's when I talk about, the same person. It's like they have Stockholm syndrome. They love their captors. Mayor Wu is the one who did this to you. Mayor Wu is punching you in the face every day. You don't ask her for an ice pack. You change everything. You get rid of her. And people just cannot see that. And that's what I see. So I want to be wrong. And
people get what they vote for as well. I mean, a lot of these, they don't have one Republican elected, and if anything, like you said, Muriel Bowser was pressured by the powers that be. You got to get with the script because she wasn't anti-Trump enough. So, and I think, that's what we're living and dealing with on a daily basis.
I mean, they're killing themselves. I mean, that's the good news. The Democrat Party is poisoning themselves and slowly committing suicide. And unfortunately, they're taking a lot of Americans down with them. And I hope that we can get, just kill the party completely before it's too late.
Well, I lost overwhelmingly. Like this past election, all the counties went rightward, even here in Washington County. And, I don't think AOC and Mondani are the future of the party. I think if they go that way, they're going to continue to lose.
Oh, but Barack Obama put in a phone call to Mamdani. I just read this article yesterday. I didn't read the whole article, but he put in a phone call to encourage him. So that, I mean, right then and there just proves where Barack Obama was and is. And he was, as if we didn't know. To know that he's calling and encouraging and supporting that young man is terrifying.
Yeah, well, he's a Democrat socialist himself. And
this isn't even real communism, though. Communism doesn't allow this kind of lawlessness. What is this?
And Mamdani wants the free grocery stores, didn't he, for the city run? As if the city can run grocery stores. They have all the illegals there, and they pay all the money to put them in hotels. They couldn't even handle that, So I can't imagine them competing with Trader Joe's and Whole Foods there.
No, really. And he calls for the defunding of police. But then when police officers were killed in New York City, oh, my heart goes out to the police officer. Yeah, right.
Was he in Africa at his wedding or something like
that?
Yeah,
he wasn't at his wedding. He was in Uganda, a family reunion or something. It was crazy.
No, there was a wedding. He got married. I forget what country it was, but he apparently insulted the locals because it was during a mourning period for a Supreme Court justice. And I guess the locals took it badly that he had this big, fancy, very elegant.
I think it was in February. Was it this year or last year? It wasn't recent. I think it was in February this year. They were saying, and they were bringing it up, like you said, Elena, about that he went.
Bringing it up later. Okay, yeah,
because he had already been married. I think it was February of this year.
They said his security disrupted a lot of the local activities over there too, and
exactly. That guy should go back to Uganda. He believes in Uganda first, just like Ilhan Omar believes in. And I don't know why I'm just blanking on Somalia first. There we go. And I mean, they really should be in jail, in my opinion. They've really committed treason on the highest level. Barack Obama has committed treason on the highest level. And we're all waiting for people to get charged. My question to you, Elena, is, as you know, the Attorney General Pam Bondi, she has sued the state of Illinois. She has sued the state of New York. She's charged Kathy Hochul. She's charged Letitia James. She's charged the governor of Illinois. But, okay, she's charged them. When are we going to see the arrests, in your opinion?
My opinion. This is where I put on my Seth hat again. I don't think anybody's going to get arrested. I really don't. I want to be wrong about this, but I think all we have seen from the DOJ are dog and pony shows. And if you have a case and people are being charged, they should already be in handcuffs.
But President Trump, he praised Pam Bondi today. He's praised her the last few days. He thinks she's great. So she's obviously doing something, that he approves of. She's obviously doing something over there. And maybe we, the people, don't know 100% behind the scenes what she's really doing.
Yeah. And that's great. And I hope that that's true. And I hope that there is going to be some one day, apprentice level, like mass.
You're fired.
Roundup where we just it's all we see all over the internet is this one and this one and they can all bring them in and put them all in jail together. And I would love to see that, like the Super Bowl of arresting Democrats who have betrayed this nation at once. But unless I see that soon, or at least some of it, I don't believe it's going to happen. I really don't. Oh, we're subpoenaing this one to come in and talk, and so they could sit there. We could have another dog and pony show, and they can talk for 5 hours and ask questions, and they can say, "I do not recall. I do not recall. I plead the fifth."
Yeah. I don't want the subpoenas. I don't want them subpoenaing Adam Schiff or the Clintons. No, or they're James Comey or Clapper or Brennan. These people committed crimes. We, the people, know that they committed crimes. We don't need them to be subpoenaed, like you said, Elena, for us to sit around and listen to, them, like you said, plead the fifth or whatever, or say I don't recall or any of this crap. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
What say you, Sean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's just, if anything, I've seen that's their tactics. They don't really talk about a lot on there. So, but, if anything, I think, Pam Bondi, I'm glad that she's highlighting all that on there, but I think that, pleading the fifth and they want to deflect things. And I think that's what they're going to do. So.
Well, we are going to take a quick break and we will be back right after the break.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra L with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
And we are back everyone, the Pulse. Yes, I am the White House correspondent for this network. And I can tell you anything that comes out about Maryland and Baltimore is from me. I literally email the president and his team on a daily basis about what's going on in Maryland and other liberal areas and any breaking news. If anybody's any breaking news they want me to bring up to Caroline Leavitt and the president, please let me know. And it goes directly to them. So segment 2, I'm going to start with Elena. It talks about the CA-AB 495 child custody trafficking bill. Damon Sherrod, I'd like you to play the Instagram clip.
This is crazy, even for California. What's about to go down in California is going to have national consequences. Please pay attention. AB 495 flew through the Assembly and is about to fly through the California Senate, and it is a green light for human trafficking, specifically for child trafficking. Anybody can go into a courtroom and fill out this affidavit and say, by checking this little box, I am unable to contact the parents or other persons having legal custody of the minor at this time to notify them of my intended authorization. What they're asking authorization for is to take custody of the child, where the child lives, where the child goes to school, and also very dangerously, medical attention for the child. So anybody can get a piece of paper that says, I am now in charge of this child. They can go up to a school during the school day and say, I'm in charge. I need to take this kid out of school. Boom, kid is gone. Anybody can take this paper to a doctor and say, oh yes, turn this boy into a girl. I'm in charge. Boom, done. You name it, they can do it. This is the wildest abuse of parental rights that we have ever seen in this country. And if they succeed in California, they will be trying to succeed in states all around the country. And we will have a child trafficking problem on our hands, even worse than the one we already have. This is a disgrace. If you've got anyone living in California, when this thing passes, which it most likely will, beg them to take their children out of that state.
Unbelievable. Elena, to you.
So this is called the Family Preparedness Act of 2025. And the reason they have created this affidavit where anyone can take control of a child is because illegal aliens are getting kidnapped by ICE and their children are being left behind. That is the Democrat legislature in California and what their reasoning is. So they're saying that, a teacher or somebody needs to be able to take control of that child. There's already a system in place if children are left behind by illegal aliens. And that is to basically push the children into the foster care system, which is obviously not a great idea, ideal for any child, but it is still better than any lunatic who knows that a parent got picked up, being able to say, I'm now in charge of this child with that simple affidavit that they print up off the internet. It's terrifying. And this isn't just doesn't affect illegal alien children. This affects all children, and any child can have this document filled out for them. A child can still be sleeping at home in their parents' house, and the parent doesn't even know that someone filled out this document, while a crazy teacher or librarian is taking them to get gender-affirming care using that affidavit. It's absolutely wild and terrifying. And any child that's even on California soil can be affected by the affidavit.
That's unbelievable. Elena, do you know any other states that are doing something like this?
Not this egregious, not this particular thing, but we do know that every time something like this happens in one state, they start rubber stamping it around the country. The only hope we have is that Gavin Newsom it passed through the Assembly. It's going to Senate Appropriations on Monday. The only hope we have right now is that Newsom puts pressure on the Appropriations Committee to stall it, because he knows that this is going to be a major losing issue for him. And, obviously he's got big dreams, it seems to be. So that's our only hope, is that Newsom decides to nix it before it even goes to a vote in the Senate. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
Now, what about you, Sean? Would you ever see in your lifetime that this would happen in Maryland?
I would not be surprised. I know that Montgomery County, the parents there recently won a Supreme Court case with parental rights. And I think they would fight that here. And I hope there's some decent people in California that would do the same, but it's terrifying to know that, the nanny state can take your child and do whatever they want with it, or anybody could with that piece of paper. And it's very scary to know that, there are parents, and there's people out there that could do that. Like you talked about the human trafficking element, they could do that as well. And I think that would really affect her. What about the kids that aren't really well known or don't have the stability there or don't have a good family, that somebody could take that piece of paper and take advantage of that situation? So it's very disturbing to know that what's happening there could very well happen in other states. And, it wouldn't be surprised if they tried to bring that up in Maryland. And knowing with the people that are elected here, they'd probably go along with it, but that it always comes back to the parents that need to be in charge of their child's, well-being and things like that. And we really need to have them to step in and take the rights. It shouldn't be the state or anybody else to, force anyone to do that kind of crazy stuff.
Right. But parents won't even know if somebody
does.
Yeah,
and that's the problem too. They won't know if, and they have that piece of paper. So that makes it even more dangerous, and like you said, they could have that piece of paper and they try to pick their kid up from school, they're gone. And who knows where they're at. So it would not surprise me if Maryland tried to do that. And I hate to say that with the current state leadership and the things they're doing. I mean, our state recently approved a reparations commission. So, we're in a budget deficit and didn't have money for that. So if anything, they will push that if they can.
The disgusting thing is that, as we saw in Minnesota with Governor Tim Walz, he signed an executive order saying that children age 3 and above can have gender reaffirming surgery without the consent of their parents, which is disgusting. So asinine, disgusting. Why wouldn't Governor Tim Walz be in jail for that? It's so unconstitutional on so many levels. What say you, Elena?
Well, he also added to it that Minnesota was a sanctuary state for gender affirming care. So a child, if they could get themselves to Minnesota, could receive free gender affirming care from the state and be taken care of and be protected from their parents. They wouldn't even let the parents know where they are. So it is literally state sanctioned kidnapping. What do I say? It should be criminal. And I don't know how we're just fighting. We're just fighting some dark, evil shit right now. It's really hard to wrap our heads around, but I don't know what the criminal statutes are on that, but I'll call that kidnapping.
I agree with you. And Sean, your response to that?
Yeah, if anything, Tampon Tim, I can't imagine that's really wasn't that what he was called? So
yeah, Tampon Tim. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's also treading the waters for 2028. God. He went to James Clyburn Cookout along with Wes Moore, which I'm from South Carolina. Nobody goes to James Clyburn's Cookout unless they're running for president. So, but if anything, Maryland is also a sanctuary state for affirming care that I know of. They passed the whole trans healthcare bill here. Was it, I think, in 23, right during his first beginning of his tenure? Right. And, Medicaid now covers all that stuff. So it's kind of crazy that that's happening there. But, it's very scary that the things that people worry about should not be things they should be worrying about. And on top of that, the direction of the country, and voters overwhelmingly rejected this last November, but yet they still want to go along with it. And that's the scary part.
And the thing is with the transgenders, they're less than 1% of the country. And again, it's the minority trying to be the majority. We saw this at an Ulta store. We have this transgender, it's really a man who just opened up his hairline at Ulta, and he goes in there wearing a dress with high heels, and his name, it's a man's name, and he's wearing a beard, and he looks like a man, but he says, I'm a woman. He says, oh, doesn't she look great? Oh, isn't she going to get along with all of her buddies? And then all the Ulta people have to say, yeah, it's she. It's disgusting. It's insane that crap is still going on. The minority trying to be the majority. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. What say you, Elena? I'm sure, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I've said it right from the beginning. They got lonely. They got tired of being on the fringe, and they wanted to build their freak army. And they tried to build more with adults. It wasn't enough, and that's why they went after the children. And they're building their little army, but the children are growing up and detransitioning and coming out of it and saying, what the hell was I thinking? Except this isn't like a bad haircut or a piercing or even a tattoo that went wrong that you regret later and can have removed. These, young girls with their breasts removed, with, cancers that are developing, hairlines that, are lost because they were loaded up with testosterone, and so on and so on. I mean, the damage is so deep, and there is more. They said, no kids are having surgeries. Of course they were. Stoptheharmdatabase.com. You can go there and look at every state and every hospital where trans surgeries were happening on minors. I mean, it just goes on and on. So they wanted to build their army. We're pushing back. Their army is not only detransitioning. Unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of their army commit suicide after all the physical and emotional damage that they've been through.
But I can tell you that a lot of these, trans people that are trying to make it into Ulta or make their stuff here, make their stuff there, people aren't buying it. They're not buying into it anymore. I go into Ulta, people aren't buying this transgenders hair products. They're not doing it. They've hashtag.
They're also not buying Bud Light either.
I'm sorry, say again.
They're not buying Bud Light either.
No, they're not.
I haven't been in Target in years. Target is done, dead to me. I don't care. There's nothing they have that I can't get somewhere else.
Every time I'm in a line at the game or any game and I see Bud Light is the only option, I don't drink it. So.
Oh, I don't drink it either. I'm like, give me
I drink water instead of having any of that. So. Yeah.
That's so funny. So speaking of the biggest pedophile of all, let's put up the image Damon shared. Bill Clinton. There we go. Bill Clinton is the, quote, prime suspect in the Epstein investigation per Congressman James Comer, who's the head of the House Oversight Committee. Now, we're all smart people here. We all knew this. It was in the logs, and Elena said this many times. Bill Clinton went to the Epstein's Island multiple times, was on the Lolita Express multiple times. Bill Clinton was on there with his Secret Service. There's logs that Hillary Clinton was in the island with her lover, Huma Abedin, who's now married to Alex Soros, who's actually gay. Interesting marriage there. So, I mean, we all know. I mean, this is real. This is real stuff. The only person I know that could really talk about Bill Clinton is a guy named Doug Band. So I'll educate the audience on Doug Band. Doug Band was the go-to man. He was the number 2 guy to Bill Clinton. You couldn't get to Bill Clinton unless you got through Doug Band. The reason I know Doug Band, he's from Sarasota, Florida, my hometown. Doug Band is Jewish. Doug Band went to my synagogue with his father, David Band. So I know the Band family very well. They always find a way to get themselves out of sticky situations. Doug Band actually exposed Bill Clinton in a news article with a MSNBC reporter, and as a result, he fled. He fled Florida and the city he was at. He left Teneo. He's not the CEO of Teneo anymore. He was working at a law firm in New York. He's no longer working with that law firm, and he's actually in hiding. He told his wife and kids, I have to go in hiding right now because I don't know what's going to happen to me. So Doug Band, he could be subpoenaed to talk about Bill Clinton. Doug Band also did not have a great relationship with Chelsea Clinton. He exposed her in that op-ed piece with the MSDNC reporter, but he knows a lot. And he was the one that told Bill Clinton not to go to the island, not to be involved with Epstein. And of course, Bill Clinton did it anyway. But my question to you, Elena, is, now that they have finally found the evidence, which we already know, that Bill Clinton is the prime suspect of the Epstein investigation, what do you think is going to happen now?
I think he's going to die. I think we're just going to hear, oh, President Bill Clinton passed away, and we're going to have a big state funeral, and whether or not he's actually dead, we'll find out down the road. But we'll never find out. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think that Hillary is going to allow this family to be dragged through this.
Oh, so Mr. Eisenberg is trying to get on. I don't know if his camera's on. Seth, can you hear us via your phone?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, sweet. Oh, we miss your wonderful face.
Yeah, I'm driving, so I don't want to have y'all watch me wreck last time. So.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want you to get into a wreck. So, Seth, we're talking about Bill Clinton being the prime suspect in the Epstein investigation. What say you about this?
I'm not surprised. He's a dirty bastard. But nothing will happen to him.
Do you have any more? Oh, he may be, guys. He may be cutting out because he's on the phone. We can't hear you, Seth. I'm so sorry, Sean. Come on, go on and take over.
Yeah. I mean, I think wasn't Epstein? Didn't he have that infamous portrait of Bill Clinton in a dress?
Yes.
In his mansion in New York.
Yes.
So I mean, I know that he's been on the flights and things like that. So if anything, birds of a feather flock together, and that's obviously true of what's happening with the Manhattan socialite scene with him. So if anything, I watched the whole Netflix documentary, and I watched his victims and things like that. I watched that he tried to lure. It was at West Palm Beach, where he had a place there not far from Mar-a-Lago, where he tried to lure the young girls there. So, I mean, I really going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. With the Justice Department and other things, as more of this information comes out. But Bill Clinton, I think everybody knew from the get-go he was on those islands all the time, and I think him and Hillary lived their separate lives, and she was probably fine whatever he did, and she did her own thing, and everybody knows that. So, I don't think that I think it was a marriage of convenience, and she didn't divorce him because she needed to have his last name to run for Senate in 2000. And she moved to New York. So I think she knows about everything. I don't think she's surprised. And, we're going to see if some of these folks who have been doing what they've been doing for as long as they have finally get exposed. And I think that's what the public really wants, because they really want justice, not just for the victims, but, a narcissistic billionaire, how they live and they treat their victims like this. It's very shameful. And, I mean, I really do hope that the Justice Department can get more into this and all that. And I think, they will. But I think it's very disconcerting that we have the former president who's very much involved with him. But I think everybody knows that. And they won't be surprised. And like you said, somebody mysteriously committed suicide, how that would happen. And, all the cameras didn't, work at the time, which is just crazy. So, the whole thing's crazy.
Yeah. You know what though? Like I'm still annoyed with President Trump. I support him. I love him. But a month ago, it's just a hoax. There is nothing. That was the worst thing he could have done for his own reputation. For years we're talking about that there's an investigation, that there are files. People are in jail. Epstein was in jail. Maxwell was in jail. We know that there's a lot to this, and then to come out and be like, it never really happened, and then here we are, the binders, and then nothing actually ever happened, and now here we are again, another bigger investigation. It's just we're really getting tired of being yanked around on this.
Well, I think what you notice, Elena, what he's doing is he's shifting it to James Comer, is handling it with the House Oversight Committee. Tulsi Gabbard is doing a lot of it behind the scenes. Kash Patel is doing a lot of it behind the scenes, because President Trump doesn't want he himself to be engrossed in this, like he was engrossed with the Mueller investigation for 2 years.
That doesn't explain calling it a hoax and pretending like it didn't exist at all. That was, I don't know. There's no excusing that. I'm sorry. I can't get past. I'm not turning on him because of that.
Right.
But I'm not. We can't just pretend that he didn't behave badly in that situation.
Well, I think what he was trying to say at that moment is, because they were focused on something else at that time, and then he did give Pam Bondi the opportunity to speak. He was focused on something else, and of course the mainstream went in and talked about Epstein. Again, he doesn't want his whole presidency to be about Epstein. Just like Tulsi Gabbard has come out as the gold star of secretaries right now, because she's been exposing Barack Obama. She's been exposing a lot of these things. So, President Trump, I feel he wants to get all of this work done. He wants to have his team that he put together work, behind the scenes underneath, find the real evidence of these criminals, like what Kash Patel is doing right now with Adam Shifty Shift, and then he puts it out. He doesn't want the mainstream media to tell him what to do or put it out there for him. He's going to find that information, and when he finds it, he will put it out to the people. I think that's the game that he's playing. I honestly believe that. Sean, what do you think? Your response?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's great, and I think that as the facts come out, we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, my main concern was, the cost of groceries and ending the forever wars, and as much as I would like to know about the Epstein files, to me personally, that's not as big as some of the other issues we have to tackle. But I think they're going to uncover a lot. I think when you look at, the last few administrations, and call it a deep state, because let's face it, politicians come and go, but the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. stays the same. If not, gets bigger every administration. When they leave, it doesn't really diminish or get smaller, and that's the problem. So, I don't know what's really going on behind the scenes here, but there could be a lot more to collaborate, with what's going on and as the facts come out. But, I definitely, I think a lot of folks are curious because of Epstein's, client list and, all the folks he hung around with. And if I watched the Netflix documentary, how, he hung in higher circles on there. But, we'll see what happens. I think Pam's done a good job so far with a lot of other things, and I think that what they're doing in DC is really good. But, I think like I said, it would be better. I think he could have rolled it out better with the Epstein things that, I wouldn't promise anybody. It would just say, hey, we'll just investigate it. We'll see what we have when the facts come out and look more into that. So.
Well, I agree. I do want to see the list. I've always said I believe that President Trump does have the list and he's holding on to it. I've always said that. I don't have full evidence of that, but I do believe in my heart that he has the list. I don't think it was shredded. I don't think it's torn up. I do believe that things were shredded and torn up before Kash Patel got in there, before Pam Bondi got in there, before Tulsi Gabbard got in there. I do believe that wholeheartedly because the DOJ, the ODNI, the CIA, they're corrupt mofos. They're very corrupt. And there's still a lot of corruption in those agencies. And Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Tulsi Gabbard and even Pete Hegseth still haven't fully got rid of all of the corruption that's in these agencies. And I'm not making excuses, but they haven't even been there for a year yet. They just got in, they're just getting started. But
they fired James Comey's daughter. So.
Yeah, they fired James Comey's daughter. They had to. They had to. It's conflict of interest. They had to. But I do believe, in my opinion, that they are working at a pace to try to expose a lot of these things. I just believe that, President Trump's like, I will put it out there when I put it out there. I don't need the mainstream media telling me to put it out there. And I think that's why he got pissed off at the mainstream media that day. And I agree with you, Elaine. A lot of people didn't like how he answered the question. I do agree with you on that. But I think he was just trying to, at that moment, try to,
Right, but it wasn't just the question. It was his Truth Social post where he said the whole thing is a hoax and just drop it already. It was beyond that awkward moment where he said, are you still talking about that? Anyway.
But isn't it interesting what he did, though, is he said that, and then the Democrats were like, release the list. So in a way, he did a little bit of a reverse psychology there. Because remember, the Democrats didn't want the list released. A lot of people were like freaking out. They didn't want the list released. And all of a sudden, the Democrats want the list released. So it's very interesting.
They don't mean it, though. It's just double talk. It's all just double talk. And, it's funny, though, because, Sean, what you're saying about like all the price of groceries and the price of gas and all that, this is all intertwined. All this criminal, disgusting, disgraceful activity that all these people engage in is what they use against each other in order to make backroom deals and blackmail each other and stick it to the American people. The web is so tangled that we'll never get to it. We'll never fully get a clear picture of how this affected policy. But I have, every confidence that all of the people that are involved in Epstein, have had a negative effect on all of our lives because of the way they manipulated policy and spending.
Well, we're going to be moving on to the next segment. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking about the Texas Senate passing the new U.S. House maps, and that will be happening right after the break.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Hello, everyone. We're back with the America's Pulse Network. I'm your host tonight, Alexandra Levine. So changing it up a little bit, we're going now into campaign mode. Republican states are now taking charge of the census. As we know, we had a census in 2020. The state of Texas was supposed to get 5 new congressional seats on the Republican side. Florida was supposed to get 2 new congressional seats. And there was other Republican states that were supposed to get an expansion of the congressional seats. But for some reason, that never happened. So now the Republicans are taking back what was rightfully theirs. But of course, the Democrats are freaking out. Oh my God, the Republicans are gerrymandering. They're gerrymandering the districts to make themselves win, yada, yada, yada. Well, President Trump, he shot back. He said, wait a minute, the Democrats have been gerrymandering for years. This is what they do. I mean, this is crazy. And the thing is, the Republicans aren't gerrymandering. They're taking back what was rightfully supposed to be theirs in the 2020 census. And let's put up the first image. So there it is. So the current Texas congressional districts are to the right. And you see, with Trump, it was a +5. And now the proposed districts for the decade will make Texas a +10. Part of the proposed districts for this decade is going to be cutting out Congressman Jasmine Crockett, who we know is a moron. It'll be cutting her out of her district, as well as Congressman Alan Green out of his district. But again, these were 5 congressional districts that were supposed to go Republican to begin with, but were screwed from the 2020 census. But of course, Jasmine Crockett's freaking out. The liberals are freaking out. And they had a vote. I mean, the Texas Senate, they passed the vote. Even as the Texas Democrats were leaving the House, the Republicans have the majority in the Texas State House. So of course it passed. Now it goes to the Texas House again for full approval. And if the Democrats, if they don't like this, they'll probably try to take it up to the Supreme Court. But this is a big thing, guys. And I know in Florida, our governor, Ron DeSantis, Elena, he's trying to do this. He's trying to get rid of a lot of the Democratic districts in Florida, too. But again, he was supposed to get 2 congressional districts in the state of Florida, according to the 2020 census. So what say you about this, Elena?
Well, the Democrats have been doing this for years. We know this. And I think it's just more gaslighting and hilarity that they're crying so hard about this. I think it's really embarrassing that they've fled their state and are spending money in Illinois and abandoning their posts. Mm-hmm. But it's what they do. They are weaklings. They are cowards. They talk a big game, but when it comes down to actually fighting for the people of their state, they don't do it.
Well, didn't the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, didn't he call for these people to be arrested for going to other states and trying to, change the rightful census, change the rules? Isn't that correct, Elena?
He did. I believe he did call for it, but I don't think there was really any teeth in it. I think that they ultimately will probably face fines, and I hope that they're hit with those fines because, at a minimum, they have to feel it in the pocketbook.
So what say you about this, Sean?
Well, I think I read today they were planning on coming back by next week. So I did hear that. But I think there was some ethical and legal dilemmas for them because I think if they were to get the charter jet to go to Illinois, to other California, that would be, kind of a contribution in kind and things like that. And I think that could be more ethically dilemma for them. But, they're not doing their job as their legislators representing their constituents. They're fleeing away to the most gerrymandered states like Illinois and California, which, that's quite a joke. So, and, the census for 2020, I believe their audit found there was a lot of discrepancies. And like we said, a lot of the red states were undercounted and they gave blue states more than they should have. And you look at it, as I said earlier, the blue states are going to continue to bleed population, the taxes, the crime. There's a reason why Texas, Florida, Tennessee, they have no state income tax. They're flowing with new people. And if anything, that's going to be the balance of power where it's going to probably favor Republicans down the long road because all the Sunbelt states and, the South is growing in population, but not the blue states. But I do think it's going to be very crazy how that ends up going. So,
Seth, yay! We got him! Woo! All right.
Hey.
So Seth, we're talking about the Texas Senate passing the new U.S. House maps. Damon shared, can we show the image to Seth again? So right now, Seth, so to the left, you have the current Texas congressional districts. To the right is what they want to propose. So if it goes through, Jasmine Crockett will be out of a job. What say you?
Good. She's a wet fart, just a disgusting human being, and she's like a ghetto princess. So yeah, she needs to go.
I love it.
But the thing is, Dems do it and bitch, or Dems do it, Republicans bitch when they do it. Republicans do it, Dems bitch when Republicans do it. It's whoever's in power. It's not like, oh, we're trying to make things right. No, you're trying to stay in power. I mean, at least be honest about what you're doing. I can respect that more. Don't tell me you're doing it because, oh, the people want to be represented. No, you son of a bitch. You want to do it because you don't want to lose a job. And that's fine. I understand that. Nobody wants to lose a job. That's great. But don't lie. People aren't stupid. We know what, well,
Nah.
a lot of people are stupid. Some of us aren't. The ones that aren't stupid realize what you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just be honest. Hey, look, we're getting our butts kicked here. So while we're in power, we're going to switch things around to try to stay in power. Okay, I can respect that. That's fine with me, because as soon as you get out, they're going to do the same thing you just tried doing, and they're going to make up the same excuse. We want our people to be represented. No, you don't.
Exactly.
And so I think it's funny she'll lose her job because she's an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't hire her to run the midnight shift at a Circle K in Alaska. But I'm glad she'll be out of a job. I mean, that's the best thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Now, Elena, you mentioned Gavin Newsom. As you know, he's freaking out, and he wants to re-gerrymander his entire state. And he's like, two can play this game, President Trump. You want to screw up, the districting in Texas and in Florida. We're going to re-screw up California to make sure it's even more blue than it already is. What say you about that, Elena?
Just go ahead and just burn it all down. Like, have a good time. You're going to have people of any sense continuing to flee that state. Mm-hmm. And everyone else that stays there will get exactly what they deserve. Let him do what he wants to do. But when he loses all of his illegal aliens, all of his gerrymandering is not going to save him. Mm-hmm. None of it will. And that's the beauty. And that's why LA Mayor Karen Bass and all the rest of them are on there every day. Or these people are our community. They're our legal aliens. Yay. They're so committed to them. They don't care. Like Seth said, this is never about the constituents. It's only about power. I think that Tom Homan and ICE, when they hire all these new ICE agents, should focus on California. And I think they should just all go there for a month and just clean it all up, bang it out, and then come back to the rest of the country.
Now, Sean, you live in Maryland, as we talked about. So, and I've talked about this on my show last night. Maryland has been gerrymandered to hell. I mean, you live in CD6, which was supposed to be a Republican district. You have all of Western Maryland. You got a sliver of Frederick. You got a sliver of Montgomery County. But what did they do? They put that sliver of Montgomery County because they knew they were going to screw the Republican to make sure the Republican wasn't going to win CD6. And as a result, you have a lot of illegals in Montgomery County. You have a lot of illegals in Frederick County, that little sliver that they gave you. Western Maryland, not so much illegals, but you got illegals all over the state of Maryland. So my question to you is any Republican going to step it up and maybe try to, take back CD6 or take back a district that was heavily gerrymandered by a Democrat for a Democrat's gain? Let's say you vote.
Yeah, I mean, we had Roscoe Bartlett here for a long time, and they gerrymandered him out. And then we got John Delaney, which his wife is the current congressman we have. But like you said, we have the 5 counties in CD6, but the 2 heavily most Democratic counties have most of the votes of the district. And that's the sad thing, where that little sliver of Frederick and Montgomery County have more voters than the 3 counties that are heavily Republican. I mean, in my county, Trump won 60% of the vote, but you go to neighboring county and Harris won, 65% of Montgomery County. So it's like night and day. But that's the problem, is that, Maryland is one of the most gerrymandered states. And then, they want to cry foul. We took it to court under Larry Hogan, and we actually won because the Maryland state constitution said that they were not fair maps, and they weren't. And I don't think they're going to go very far if they're going to try to gerrymander Congressman Harris out. I don't think that's going to work. But I think here in Western Maryland, Delaney, who is our congresswoman, she did not win by that many points the last election, so it's gotten closer and closer. But she doesn't even live in our district, and she's our congresswoman, which is the craziest part. But because she has so much money, she donated to herself and her campaign because her and her husband are mega millionaires. And that's kind of shut the door out for a lot of people here. So I definitely think this district's winnable with the right type of candidate. I know we've had the same nominee for the last few cycles, and I want to see somebody new this time around. So,
yeah, there you go. And Seth, my question to you, I mean, you have a Maryland House Freedom Caucus. Andy Harris is the only Republican. I mean, he's District 1, but every 2 years, it keeps getting smaller and smaller margin for him to win re-election. Should Andy Harris, in your opinion, say, hey, like you gerrymandered my entire district, I'm going to take my district back. I'm going to actually redistrict it to where it should be without the Democrat intervening? Well,
first of all, I think the Republican Party in Maryland's a pile of dog shit. It's useless. It's like tits on a boar hog. It's there just for looks. It serves no functional purpose other than parties and op-eds and happy hours and whatever dumb shit they can think of to spend the people's money who give it to them. So I don't care about any Republican political person in Maryland because they're all full of shit. There's not a true Republican in this state. They're all rhinos or kind of middle of the way. They get along because they want to get by. They want to make sure everybody likes them. They want to get invited to all the parties. They want to get interviewed. So they don't really take a stand on anything. And when they do, it's kind of like a wishy-washy stand. Like, we shouldn't do that. Maybe. I don't know. How do you guys think? Do you think we should? But I'm saying we shouldn't unless you guys disagree with me. And then I'll kind of, I'll work with you. It's like grow a set of balls. Put your foot down and say, this is what we're doing, deal with it. But they don't, so I don't care. If all the Republicans get kicked out of office in Maryland.
Well, not Sean. We don't want Sean kicked out.
But I mean, like I've been saying, the Republican Party of Maryland needs to be dismantled, burnt to the ground, the earth salted, and then built back up from nothing with real Republicans and conservatives.
Yeah.
Not
like
what
Sean.
we have.
Like Sean. That's why, that's why I love Sean because, and Seth, you know this, he didn't work with the party. He ran on his own merit and he ran on the issues and he talked to Democrats and independents and he wasn't afraid. And
I didn't have to bash Trump to win office either.
Exactly.
I made it about the local issues and I still voted for Trump and wasn't shy of that.
But you see, you're like an anomaly. You're like that. Wow, what is that?
Exactly.
If you run for bigger office, I'll tell you right now, the Republican Party of Maryland will work against you. Ask Dan Cox. He'll tell you all about it. They will work against you.
Yeah. But again, going back to this, it's very interesting that now, hopefully Texas will get, their seat, the seats that they were supposed to get. Florida will get the seats that they're supposed to get. Because I always said, it's once you get these damn Democrats in, especially in these hardcore Democrat districts, you can't get them out. So this way, by the state legislators finally stepping the F up and doing something about it, we're going to hopefully get rid of these Democrats once and for all, like Al Green and Jasmine Crockett and Debbie Wasserman Schultz in Florida and these other Democrat morons in Florida, and you know them very well, and maybe even possibly get rid of that rhino, Maria Salazar in Florida, because she's crazy. Elena, she's crazy. What say you?
Yeah. So the Salazar, yeah, she is crazy. She's not a Republican. She's the one. Is she the one that wants to give all the illegals amnesty?
What? Yeah, amnesty for illegals. And she gave a press conference all in Spanish, and I'm like, you're in DC speaking Spanish. Well, what the hell?
Love it.
No, hey, she might as well be speaking whatever they speak in Somalia and like Ilhan Omar and go
exactly.
Have themselves in I Hate America party. I totally forgot what the question was.
No, just the question was, do you finally see justice in Florida and Texas and all of these states that were screwed in the 2020 census? Yeah. Do you think that there's going to be justice?
Well, there's only going to be justice if we put the pedal to the metal. So Jussie, excuse me, I was just going to say Jussie Smollett, Jesse Waters. But just because you start thinking about all these lunatics who just lie all day. Jussie Smollett comes to mind.
You mean a French actor? Sorry.
So Jesse Waters was saying, that the Democratic Party does not deserve to be the opposition party anymore. They're off the rails. They're anti-American. They're pro-communist. We have to destroy them. Put all the nails in the coffin that need to be nailed. And if gerrymandering and redoing the census is what it takes, then let's get it done. It's enough. Enough is enough with this. With their complete anti-American insanity. Mm-hmm. Let's kill the party. And that is not a call for violence. We could do this. Well, maybe Seth wants a little, a couple of black eyes, but no, truly, it's time. We have to, if there's going to be an opposition party of any sort, it has to rise from the ashes.
Sean, can we get your dog to run for office?
I don't know if she would or not.
Well, make dogs great again. Oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Guaranteed, she's got more common sense than Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah. But the thing is,
that is true, though.
People, Seth, where do these people come from? I mean, they come out of the woodwork. I've never even heard of a Jasmine Crockett, whatever the hell her name is, until she, opened up her big mouth and made a scene next to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, it's ridiculous where these people come from. And then, of course, they get into office and then you see their true colors. And then, the constituents, they're either blindsided by it or they don't realize it, or they're like, well, she's in such a Democrat district. If we try to vote against her, we're going to lose anyway. And then people don't even try to work against her to primary her out, which is ridiculous. And you have all these different organizations like APEC and so forth that can literally, they have the money, they have the billions to primary out these people, and they don't do it. What say you, Seth?
Well, when it comes to Democrat, I have friends who are Democrats, but they're not liberal. Mm-hmm. They're just like old school Democrats. They have that small, we got to help people, not the crazy lunatic liberals.
Yeah.
When I talk about Democrats, I don't mean those kind of Democrats. Those kind of Democrats, I can understand where they're coming from, and I can kind of appreciate their view. I'm talking about liberals. They're like mushrooms. They grow in shit, and there's plenty of shit in this country for them to grow out of. So they will always be there, and they've always been there. They've always forget about social media for a second. They've always been there, but we haven't known them because they haven't been able to project themselves into everybody's home on everybody's screen because they couldn't. We're just seeing so many now because of this. Mm-hmm. There's no more than there's ever been. They're just given a platform now where they can just spew their bullshit whenever they want to and reach other idiot mushrooms. They go, oh, this is great. It's not like they're procreating like rabbits. They've always been there. They just now have a platform. They can put themselves out there. We all see them all the time now. And the news media has a lot of them. So they're projecting them too. So we don't see anybody else other than these idiots. So now we're thinking, oh my God, we're outnumbered. There's for every smart person, there's 58 dickheads out there. We're screwed. We can't do anything. That's not the case. It's the other way around. Like I said on my show Sunday, I firmly believe there's more smart people in this country than dumb people. In my heart of hearts, I firmly believe that. I just think the smart people realize dumb people are louder. I can't get enough smart people to go out. So you know what? I'm kind of done. I'm just going to control what I can control, take care of what I can take care of, screw everybody else. But if we get smart people involved, the Jasmine Crockett's, who's that dude that said that island would tip over if everybody moved to one side? I can't remember his name, that congressman said that. He's a Democrat.
I forgot. I'm blanking on it.
But if we can get more smart people involved, these dumb people will go away, or they'll just go back to where they were in the basement, in the corner, in the woods, wherever it is they dwell, they'll go back if smart people will just speak up. And we don't, like Elena says, we don't have to be violent. Just use facts. Beat them in the head with facts. They don't know how to react to that. They just, you're a racist. You're a homophobe. And after a while, no one's going to listen to that. Like, you know what? You're an idiot. I have facts. You have name calling. Whatever. And that's the thing. They've always been there. Always. And they'll always be there. We just need to learn to non-violently push back.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sean, we have just a couple minutes. So, Sean, I just want to ask you one question, then Elena, I'll follow up with you. So, in the state of Maryland, we have something called central committees. Florida, we don't have that. And, the central committees, there's a lot of rhinos in these central committees, but a lot of them are up for reelection. And I know that there are people that are trying to primary out these incumbent central committee members that have been there for 10, 20, 30 years, because these central committee members, they're not term limited. They could be there forever. Same thing with MDGOP. They could literally be there forever if they wanted to be, if they keep getting elected over and over and over and over and over again. So my question to you, Sean, is I know you're the city council, but I know you work a lot with the Washington County Republican Central Committee and the clubs and so forth. What do you think it can be the method to try to recruit real conservatives, real MAGA people into the central committees? Because this is something that Tim and I have tried to do over the years, and he did this in his committee before the drama happened over there, is he built an army of hardcore conservatives and hardcore MAGA people in his central committee and in others. And that, in my opinion, has to be the goal, to get more America First, more MAGA people, more outsiders, and to take over these central committees, to take over and combat these rhinos that are in power. What say you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we have here in Maryland, I mean, I think our central committee it's gone through a lot of change. We have a lot of different people. There's been some people appointed. And, you know, I think it's right now, it's 2025. It's a great year for recruitment. If anything, we need to have, you know, and I have some great people I know are running for central committee next year here too. And I mean, our central committee has some drama like some of the other ones do, but I think it's really recruiting, and you want to get folks that are really interested in the cause of, you know, wanting to further the party, and just not only that, but just winning office. And that's kind of what we primarily have to do. But it's all getting back to the basics of, you know, serving what we can as the people. But I think right now we're recruiting folks for those positions next year. That's going to be a big thing. And I'm from South Carolina too, where we did not have central committees. This is a different concept. And, you know, here, if a legislator leaves office, they have to appoint somebody. In South Carolina, they would have a special election. So that's a foreign concept to me, because I do believe it should go back to the people. They should choose, you know, and sometimes central committees here will appoint folks and they're not very strong. They don't survive getting reelected after they've got appointed. And that's happened several times. So, you know.
Go ahead. And Elena, we'll end it with you. So Elena, how can we recruit more America First, more MAGA people into local positions, in your opinion?
I think America First MAGA people are very strong, you know, hopefully strong-minded, and probably don't have the stomach to deal with these lifers who believe that everything has to be done their way, and if you don't play by the rules, we are just going to smash you into oblivion before you can get anything done or even get on the ballot. And that's the unfortunate thing. Term limits have poisoned this country to the point of no return. If we don't fix term limits, we're never just going to have the average person stepping up to the plate. And that's what we need.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I'm all for term limits, and it needs to be done, because if not, these idiots will be there for 20, 30, 40 something years. So we're going to take a quick break. Don't forget, everyone, to like and subscribe. We are on YouTube. We are on Rumble. We are on Parler now. We are on TikTok. We are on True Social. Don't forget to follow us at America's Pulse Network the entire night. Thank you to some of the people's comments tonight. We appreciate everybody who has been on, and we appreciate your comments. And we will be back with segment 4 right after the break. Oh, and that was the quickest break in break history. Welcome back, everyone, to segment 4. Segment 4. So Republican celebrity ads go viral. Of course, our good friend, I call her a friend now, Sydney Sweeney. She, of course, was the face of the American Eagle ad, which, of course, the stock went up 15% after she's been on that ad. But, of course, the woke culture has to hit her hard again as she comes out with a brand new ad for Baskin-Robbins. Let's play the clip.
Oh, wow.
Is that Sydney Sweeney? Oh, yeah, it is. She really loves our rainbow sherbet. She comes here all the time. Wait, seriously? Hey, Sydney. Your signature scoop is ready.
Thank you. What?
That's so cool. Yeah. It can be.
Summer's looking sweet at Baskin-Robbins.
Try my new Sweet on Sydney menu, available at Baskin-Robbins nationwide for a limited time.
Now, doesn't that want you just or make you want to just go out and buy a Baskin Robbins, cone with the ice cream?
Yes.
I do. I mean, it looks really, really good. But she advertises so well. But of course, the wokeism came back, and now these woke liberal moron idiots, they want to boycott Baskin Robbins, and they don't want to go because, of course, they say they're sexualizing Baskin Robbins by, of course, having a blonde-haired and blue-eyed, beautiful woman promoting it. Elena, what say you about this craziness?
Well, I haven't seen any of the opposition yet, to be honest, and maybe because I've actually been pulling back from social media a little bit because I cannot listen to this garbage anymore. It's a beautiful advertisement. It's playful. It's a little sexy, maybe a little too sexy for ice cream, but whatever. I hope that she has the same effect on Baskin Robbins that she did on American Eagle. And as Seth said, all the screaming people, there's one of them to every 100 of us. They can scream as loud as they want. We're all going to Baskin Robbins.
Exactly. Sean, what say you about
my favorite flavor, I have to say, is their pistachio almonds. And I'm going to go get
Oh, that's a good flavor. That's a really good flavor. What say you, Sean, about this?
Well, were you saying earlier that they were all mad about, a sexualized ad, but they have no problem sexualizing children? So that's the hypocrisy of the left, I would call out. If anything, I guess anything American offends them, but it was funny. They did that recent ad and the American Eagle one, and, they said that they did it with men and women's group. And they said that, the men's group liked it more, which that would be apparent. But it was, if anything, I think that the left they've lost everything. They've lost the culture wars where they're losing the media. As you could see, the mega mainstream corporate media is all melting away before us, and they're all going, and their influence is gone. So I think if anything, it's just another crybaby thing on their list to whine about. And, TDS is a real syndrome. And along with anything American upsets them, then, they should move.
And so I actually applaud Baskin Robbins for having Sydney because they saw that with her working with American Eagle, the stock rose. Baskin Robbins is actually owned by two Jews that are very pro-Israel. They're not the pro-Hamas Jews. They're not the Ben and Jerry Jews. So I applaud Baskin Robbins owners for working with Sydney Sweeney here and for doing the right thing. And they're smart. I mean, they used a woman that helped American Eagle get their stock up. Don't you think by using Sydney Sweeney again for Baskin Robbins, now their stock is going to go flying, skyrocketing high? What do you think, Seth?
It should. I'm still waiting to hear from Reebok. They haven't called me yet about my butt in their shorts. If you're watching Reebok, give me a call. We can work something out. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, people are going to be pissy about things until the end of time. And it just seems the majority of pissy people are blue-haired, nose ring wearing liberals who just are miserable human beings to begin with, haven't had sex with the opposite sex in decades. They forget what the touch of another man or another woman is. So they get angry when they see somebody that actually knows what that's like to be touched by an opposite sex. They're bitter, nasty, vile, disgusting creatures that just need to shut the fuck up already because nobody's listening anymore. All I do now when I see them is I point and I laugh because that's all you can do with them. That's all they're worth is a laugh. They have no independent thought. They can't remember the last time they had an original thought, and they can't remember the last time they liked anything. Everything they see, they find fault in. It's something. Oh, it's sexist. Oh, that's this. I don't care what they say anymore. I listen now just because we make bets. Like, I bet they're going to be pissed off because she's wearing a pink sweater. No, they'll be angry because she's got high heels on. No. It's going to be the bra that'll piss them off this time. That's all they're a living, breathing comic strip. And that's how they have to be treated. And that's how they have to be viewed. They're comic relief. That's all they are. Nothing.
You're so right. But if they swapped Taylor Swift with Sydney Sweeney, they would be okay with that then, right? Because she made the comment.
They would probably complain because the commercial wasn't long enough because Taylor Swift's in it, so they made it shorter. If they put Sweeney in it, would be 20 seconds longer, those bastards. They would find some reason to be upset. You'll never make them happy, so stop trying.
Well, that's another argument. Why did they have to use Sydney Sweeney again? Why couldn't they use J-Lo? Why didn't they use me? I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Why didn't they use me?
Yeah, it's true. They're discriminating against white men. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they are.
Conservatives make them money, and they hate that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Oh,
the
yeah.
interesting thing is that, Taylor Swift is a big country singer, and then Beyonce comes out with the country album, and she's got to copy, Taylor Swift. God forbid Taylor Swift, continues on her legacy. Beyonce has to come in and copy and say, a white woman can't be the only person singing country music. A black woman can do it too. So I'm going to try to do it, just as good as her, and have a fake Texas accent and all this crap. And then she comes out with a whole hairline, which is it's a terrible hairline, by the way. It's sold at Ulta nationwide. It's a terrible hairline.
Yeah,
and
it is. Look, it's what it did to me.
Yeah, exactly. And of course she promotes the hairline that it only works for like a certain demographic of women, which is insane. So it's crazy. It's like if we put Beyonce in front of Baskin Robbins, then the left is going to say this is only for Baskin Robbins should only be used by these type of women, by this type of color and so forth. But that's not what Baskin Robbins and American Eagle are doing. They're saying that it is for everybody. That's the difference between the left and the right. Is the left is not inclusive at all. The left segregates. The right is more inclusive. That's also the difference between the Republican and the Democrat. The Democrat is DEI. The Democrat is CRT. The Democrat is pro-Hamas, as opposed to the Republican side that's more all-inclusive. And that's what people need to understand. What say you, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, they just, they're not happy and satisfied with anything. And, it's, I've done some of the dating apps lately, and I've seen when I've scrolled on there, and I'm like, wow, there's a reason you're still single, and you've got 3 or 4 nose rings and purple and green hair, and, yeah, it's some slim pickings out there. So I'm just saying I'm 39 years old, and it's very depressing to go on a dating app and seeing what's there. Especially when I was inside the Beltway. I was like, oh, wow, they have all the pink pussy hats on. So I know which way they're going to go. So that's kind of like, oops.
You don't want to bring that home to your mom?
No, I think my mom is very MAGA, so she would be very upset by that. So she's probably more MAGA than I am. But yeah, she would be very upset by that. And she's, it just shows you they've lost the culture. And they have nothing but to whine and cry about a beautiful model who, like you said, got their stock prices high, who is making news for the right reasons. And they don't like that because to them, liberalism, it's a disease. They have to be upset about everything. And, how dare they actually have a beautiful woman on there advertised? And, if anything, to them, it's a mental illness.
I mean, personally, I just want to eat that ice cream so I can look like her. It reminds me of that Herbal Essence commercial years ago, where it's like 3 good-looking men that jumped out of the bottle and they were washing this woman's hair. And that was one of the reasons why I bought Herbal Essence as a young kid, because I was hoping these 3 men would come and just wash my hair.
Did you say you were 32 years old?
I'm not. I don't remember my age.
Did Sean, did you say you were 32 or 30?
No,
I'm 39. No, I'm not.
I got a pair of
my
shoes
age.
in my
I don't
room
get
right
my
now
age.
that's
They just
10
tell
years
me.
older than you. That's how old I am. I got shoes that are 49 years old.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm going to go take some Geritol and go to bed.
But to Sean's point also, I mean, I don't know if you're on the dating scene or on dating apps or whatever, but I've been on dating apps. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, there's a reason why those people are still on there, because they're not sociable, because they don't go out, because they don't eat Baskin Robbins ice cream. I mean, their idea of a date is just like staying at home. I mean, they don't go out. It's insane.
Do you know why I'm not on a dating app?
What?
Watch some of these past shows and just listen to my parts for a couple of minutes. Pretty obvious why nobody with their right mind would go to dinner with me. So I stopped looking. I just, hey, whatever, I'll die single. I got my kid. We'll hang out and do things on the weekend. I'm happy.
Elena, what say you? We'll end it with you.
What are we even talking about? Seth is going to die single, and you're probably better off. It's fine. Yeah, you don't need one of us crying.
But no, I mean, you as a woman, you're looking at this beautiful woman, doing this ad, and you have, other people, around you that are like, I'm a beautiful woman too. Why does it always have to be Sydney Sweeney? Why can't it be this person? Why can't it be that person? But again,
I was at American Eagle recently, and I saw her whole poster, And that was at the outlets in Montgomery County, the Clarksburg outlets. Me and my mom went, and she bought American Eagle stuff.
Yeah, and to be honest, I have a lot of male friends that went out and bought American Eagle jeans. Not just based on her, but just based on they love the concept of it, they love the fit of the jeans. Again, it shouldn't just be about they advertise this blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl to get the jeans and get the ice cream. Again, it was an all-inclusive commercial. Both commercials are all inclusive.
Well,
so it really shouldn't be about race, and it shouldn't be about gender and so forth.
They make everything about race. They want every advertisement to be multicultural, overweight, funny looking people. That's what they want. And that doesn't sell. We've learned that you got a beautiful girl. I don't care what race she is. Beautiful woman, that cute pink dress, the pink background. It feels like an ice cream shop. It's a human ice cream shop. It just a fun, happy looking ad. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, except for the fact that she is not, again, overweight, ugly, and, of a different skin color than white. You can't help these people. They're so brainwashed into being victims and being hateful. As a woman, I'm at least probably, I don't know how old Sydney Sweeney is, probably at least more than twice her age.
I think she's in her late 20s.
All right, I'm close to being twice her age. And, I'm brown-haired, brown eyes, getting older. I'm not jealous of her. I think she looks beautiful and good for her.
I want her doctor, actually.
You can't walk 10 feet without finding somebody that's got something better than you got. Whether it's a physical attribute or a material thing or a family that you wish you had or whatever. Get over it. Just learn to be happy for other people too. And they cannot do that. They don't have that generosity in their heart. And it's just really too bad. And, they could say the same thing about me, that I don't look, I look at a man in a dress and, I'm not generous in my heart when he's, trying to stomp on a woman in a sporting event. I'm never going to have that much generosity in my heart.
So before we go, I wanted to put up this one image. So Tom Brady was honored this week at Gillette Stadium. As you know, he had a huge career as a quarterback for the New England Patriots. That is his face, part of the statue. And in that statue, he had the fist bump up. And of course, the woke liberal idiots have to come out and say, why does he have to have the Black Power symbol up there? He's white, not black. There's been a lot of criticism of the look of his statue. They're saying he kind of looks like his face looks much smaller than his body, like he looks like a guy from Beetlejuice. I'll be honest, this is just my opinion. He looks much better in person than he does in that statue. I don't think, in my opinion, the statue really did his face and his body justice. He's very, he's a muscular guy now, but he's a very svelte guy now. And I feel in that bronze statue, they made him look just a little bit stockier, not even muscular, just a little bit on the heavier side. And his hair never looked like that. His hair was always like short, spiky and up. That's just my opinion. So, my question to you is, that image of Tom Brady, with the Black Power, people are saying maybe they should have had him, holding the football. Maybe they should have had him, in the image of him holding the Super Bowl trophy, the Vince Lombardi trophy. What say you? First, Seth, I want your opinion of how he looks at the statue, and of course, what your opinion is of what the woke idiots say.
Yeah, I don't see the likeness really. I looked at it in different angles. I don't even see I can see his nose. No, it looks like.
I don't think it looks like him at all.
No, it's like some fourth grader drew it. And they're like, oh, that's the one. Make a statue. Yeah. It's horrible. And they should have had him with deflating footballs.
Exactly. Somebody said that too.
Deflating. That would have been great. Or the tuck. No, it's not a fumble. I was trying to tuck it. No, dude, you got your ass whooped. It's a fumble. You shouldn't even be here anymore. But Black Power, come on. Is everything we do now have some hidden meaning that we don't even know now? Like if I scratch my head, oh, he's a white supremacist. He scratched the right side of his head.
Remember what this meant?
Okay. Or you know what? Like I said before, just shut up. Nobody cares what you think. Nobody asks. And if you think your opinion's that important where you can just freely give it, do that with me. Come up to me and give me your unsolicited opinion. I dare you to do that. And bring your family, because I want them there when I do what I do to you. I want witnesses. because you're just a fucking idiot. You're not that important. You're not that special. You're not. Shut up. It's a goddamn statue. It doesn't even look like Tom Brady. So who cares? Just go, oh, that's great. And then leave. Like 99.9% of the other people are going to do when they see the statue. Oh, that's great. And then walk away.
Exactly. So, Sean, I mean, if you're Tom Brady looking at that and you don't really think it looks like you, and the poor guy had to give a speech right afterwards, thanking Bob Kraft for the statue, and thanks for putting it up there. If you were Tom Brady at that moment, what would you be thinking in the back?
I would just say that, you said his statue is a little more on the heavy side. I mean, it looks similar to Kim Jong-un's statue in North Korea. Mm-hmm. It's the bronze statue. It looks very similar to that, actually, now that I look at it. So, I don't think, I don't know. I'm just not a big statue person in general of people and things like that. So, it's not a Kim Jong-un one but I guess she has little friends that maybe would worship him like Kim Jong-un. But, I would say that, if anything, the deflated football, you should have had that there too as well with him. So,
I agree. And Elena, your opinion, do you think that looks like Tom Brady at all? If you were Tom Brady, would you be like, maybe we should do a different statue? Which they can't do.
That's what he gets for leaving,
Whoa.
Ooh, I can feel
good one. That's a good one.
Oh, no, I'm not a football fan. I lived in Boston for all the Brady years. And my goodness, are Bostonians and New Englanders obsessed with him. So, whatever, he got his statue. I don't think it's a terribly interesting looking statue. I also don't think he's a terribly interesting man. He is an objectively very handsome, good looking man. He never did it for me. He's like, if he were a meal, he would be a bowl of porridge. So I just don't care. And I think, though, he probably did deserve a little bit of a better statue, but what are you going to do?
I agree. I 100% agree. It's just, but it's so funny again how the woke culture had to turn this thing into, again, it's a beautiful ceremony. It's honoring Tom Brady. It's honoring his legacy. But then they say, oh, they gave him the Black Power speech. And then there was also criticism, and I'll turn this to you, Seth. He was wearing a pin actually supporting Israel and combating anti-Semitism because, as you know, Robert Kraft is Jewish. Right. He's done a lot for Israel. He's done a lot to, help bring the hostages back. And, of course, the left, the pro-Hamas people, they attacked Tom Brady for wearing a pro-Israel pin on his lapel.
Oh.
About that.
Once again, you're not going to make them happy. They're going to find something wrong with everything. And if you support Hamas, or if you support Palestine, or Never Land, or Middle Earth, or Narnia, or whatever they want to call that country, you are part of the problem in the world. Mm-hmm. You can try to sugarcoat it, try to explain it away. You are part of the problem. I hope you don't breed, and I hope you stay locked in your closet because the gene pool needs more chlorine because of you. If you don't understand and you support everybody but Israel, you're an anti-Semite. If you say, well, no, I'm just an anti-Zionist. No, you're an anti-Semite. And just because he wears a pin that is pro-Israel doesn't mean anything more than he's pro-Israel. He's not saying kill them all or let's bomb every country. He's just pro-Israel. Mm-hmm. Leave him alone.
Exactly.
I mean, I could walk somebody that has a pin like a Palestinian, whatever the fuck they call that place now, on their lapel. I'm not going to say anything to him because I don't care. Right. I'm not going to justify your pin by saying, oh, that's a make-believe place. You can't. That's what they want you to do. Tom Brady wore it because he wanted to wear it, not to solicit anything from anybody. If you don't like it, just keep walking. Just walk away. God damn. These people annoy the shit out of me.
And I want to acknowledge. Oh, go ahead.
Might I suggest that you take a little joy, like maybe like the fist, and they go. It's like watching demons like hide from the light. Like enjoy it once in a while.
Oh, I do, but it's like a death of 1,000 cuts. It's just always something with them, always something, and they just can't keep it to themselves. It's like being around a 2-year-old. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look what I can do. Look at me. Look at me. Look what I can do. Watch. And after a while, it's like, I love you, kid, but I'm going to smack the shit out of you. Just go to bed. Yeah, go to bed, go outside, go play in traffic. Just go away. And that's what they're like, a 2-year-old on sugar after watching cartoons for an hour.
And I just want to acknowledge Lorraine Barbara. She said, it doesn't look like him, and the fist up is touchdown. So for all those people that say it's black power, no, it's touchdown. And then I remember when I watched football, they always do point after touch. This means it's good. It's good.
My arms are disappearing.
So we'll finish off the comment with you, Sean, and then we'll wrap it up for the evening. So, Sean, what is your final thoughts of the Tom Brady statue and the woke culture and how, they want to try to politicize everything?
Well, it just shows, like we said, they're desperate. They're losing the culture, and they don't have anything new ideas except to complain and bitch about successful, well-looking people. Well, that's their problem because you got to get up every day and look at yourself in the mirror, and they're just unhappy about everything. So, they want to take their unhappiness on the general populace with their ideas, and it's not going to go very far. So, in America in the day, you can get up out of bed and you make your own choices. And I think that's for all of us. And, and I think that they have self-loathing deep inside because they did not make the right choices. And that's sad because in America, you can, become somebody. I've always said, I don't think, it's easy to go from rags to riches, but it can be done. And I believe if people put in hard work, they can always be successful in doing what they're doing. And I think the left doesn't like that. They despise that, and they don't like success or successful people.
No, I agree with you. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. I want to thank Sean. I hope he comes back on again. Sean, please tell our audience how we can find you and how your constituents can email you, and even people that are not your constituents, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, you could just go to my website, Flaherty4council.com, and it's the number 4. And from there, you can contact me through Facebook and email and everything else. So, I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, definitely. And of course, we have Popeye the Sailor Man, our good friend, Seth Eisenberg, the Conservative Corner. We are so happy that you were able to come on tonight. We tried with the phone, and then we waited till I got on with the computer, and everything was good again. I was like, oh. So, Seth, tell our audience how we can find you.
Provided I don't have a heart attack or a stroke, I'll be on Sunday. Sunday at 7. No, 8. Sunday at 8. Yeah, Sunday at 8.
Oh, Sunday at 7.
7. No, 7. Yeah, Sunday at 7.
8:30.
I've been up since 4 this morning. Wow. I'm surprised I could turn this thing on and get on here. And then Wednesdays I'm on here. Y'all can watch me scream and yell on here with other people. Or if you don't like just to have me to yourself, you can just watch me on Sundays scream and yell to just you. More intimate, more a romantic feeling on Sundays as opposed to a group thing on Wednesdays.
And also, guys, don't forget that Seth has a GoFundMe. It's Jonah Eisenberg /health/crisis. As we have told our audience and others, he was in the hospital for a long period of time. He almost lost his foot. And thank God that he still has a foot, but he's still recovering from it. So please, guys, we've raised over $6,500. The goal is $10K. The final goal is $100K. It is a campaign that everybody needs to donate to. Seth did serve our nation. He served in the Navy. We must give back to our veterans. So please, guys, instead of giving money to illegals and to murderers, please give to our good friend Seth Eisenberg, please.
If you send over $100, I'll send you a picture of my foot.
There you go. Oh, and we'll send you a t-shirt.
No, don't do that.
No, when he ran from.
If you send me 200, I won't send you the picture of the foot.
I don't know.
You have to send a picture of the Miss Maryland when you ran from Miss Maryland.
Oh yeah, if you send 300, I'll tell you that story about running from Miss Maryland.
There you go. If you send $300, you get a Miss Maryland T-shirt, and I'll give you the whole story about it. And of course, we have the lovely woman, the other woman from Florida with me, Elena Barbara, the Based Mother. How can we follow you, Elena?
I am at the Based Mother on all the usual social media channels. Grab me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and on my Rumble and YouTube channels also, where I do an individual show there. It is sporadic, but it is like once a week. But I change my mind every week on what day it is. So good luck with that. Thanks for having me tonight.
Of course. And of course, guys, don't forget, we also have the Jersey Shore with Damon Gauda. He'll be on next week. That's Monday nights from 8 to 9 p.m., The Hammer, and Friday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. Don't forget, you have me, Alexandra Levine, every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. and every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. And we're always on the Pulse.
The Tribeswoman.
9 p.m.
The Tribeswoman.
Yep, the Tribeswoman. And of course, you can follow me. I'm accessible all over social media. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, on Rumble, on True Social, on TikTok now, on Parler, at America's Pulse Network. Please go to our website at americaspulsenetwork.com if you're interested in sponsoring or if you're interested in being a fellow podcaster. Thanks, guys, for joining us. This is The Pulse of America. We bleed for God, for country, for MAGA, for America first. Have a great night, everybody.
Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country, America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.